let's get into this big story, which comes out of nowhere, really, and that is the Kevin De Bruyne to Liverpool links. I sent this to Connor earlier on when the story broke, and he thought that I was losing my mind. But let's have a look at this story. So it says, it may come as a surprise to football fans to learn that Virgil van Dijk and Kevin De Bruyne share a very close relationship despite being rivals on the pitch. The Manchester City midfield maestro and Liverpool captain appeared to be the best of friends this summer. They were even alongside each other out over, I think, in America with Calvin Harris and a few others. You probably remember that picture. So where did the budding friendship come from? Well, apparently it's when they were playing against each other in the Premier League. Now, I don't know how much faith to put in this story, but we do know that Kevin De Bruyne has said before, my family who lived in England were all Liverpool supporters, so I supported Liverpool too. Now, it was a DiMarzio story tonight that's put this out there about De Bruyne, but I want to know, is this genius or madness? I'm unsure. It is the most un-Liverpool-like thing ever, in my opinion, to put as much money as we would need to into a package for De Bruyne for a season or two, but also, you know, it's De Bruyne. So what are we thinking? Phil said Kevin De Bruyne wants to experience a decent club before retiring. So look, I'm just going to ask in the poll tonight for the start, would you take him? That's a simple question. Would you take Kevin De Bruyne at Liverpool now? Right, so we're going to put this one up. Would you take KDB at Liverpool now? We'll let that poll run and we'll revisit it and see how many people say yes, how many people say no. Connor, by the way, the other half of our channel in the chat there, said that he's 100% on board the Kevin De Bruyne train. He's been saying that to me for a while, to be fair. He's been all over the idea of it. Gio said, on a free though, I'll take it. Look, it would be interesting. I don't know if there's any truth to this. I'm going to need some English journalists to start talking about this to see how realistic it is, but it's a very interesting story. Letters Boxing said, I take KDB just so I can buy a KDB goal line kit. There is something about the idea of De Bruyne playing for Liverpool that almost feels romantic. Obviously, I would have loved De Bruyne during his peak years as well, but I don't know. I find this one intriguing. And where am I on it? Honestly, I'm probably on the fence. I'd need to know some of the numbers involved and what else it would begrudge Liverpool of doing. But if De Bruyne was just up for coming and playing for the Premier League champions at Anfield, I mean, you know, wouldn't say no, probably, if it was for a reasonable fee, as in wages. Marcus Music said, would it be beautiful to see De Bruyne and Alvarez link up at Liverpool and the success they had together at City? We only need De Bruyne for one season. Yep, it would be incredible. And look, we haven't even moved on to speak about the Julian Alvarez stuff yet. That kind of blew my mind last night. So there's so much stuff for us to go through here over the next hour. Moishe Scholler said, KDB is a great sub, but yes, his legs are gone and contract needs to reflect that. No more than 250k a week. I think that's more than fair. You know, we do have to be mindful that, yes, he has had some injuries. Yes, his legs aren't the same as they once were. But he's had a good end to the season. So, I don't know. It's I know Aston Villa were spoken about as being potentially looking to bring him in as well. I don't think Villa can afford it with the PSR stuff. So, you know, does De Bruyne want to stay and play in England? Is this story out there trying to tempt Manchester City into offering him to stay for another year or two? I really don't know, but it all feels nuts. Like, this is not a story on Wednesday night I thought I'd be sat here discussing with you. Where would De Bruyne play if he joins us? Back up for all our three midfielders. What do you say? Right back. Stick him in at right back, mate. Sure, why not? See what I mean? Let him play the Trent role. Because Trent's going to be just getting lobbed toilet rolled at him over in Real Madrid by the time he goes over there. And by the way, Joe did some interviews, as in not a fella called Joe the platform, Sports Joe. They went over, they were interviewing Real Madrid fans, and none of them want Trent already. They were already saying how terrible he is and he hasn't even kicked a ball for them. This is a good shout, Keith. This is a good shout, my man. KDB would be our Gary McAllister if he joined. That is a very, very good shout. And we know what an impact Gary McAllister had. Certainly Steven Gerrard credits Gary McAllister as being the one that helped him in his career and helped guide him in the right direction. Okay, as a mentor and Milner type, I can maybe see it, said Scott Engerson. Videos are coming out. Kevin De Bruyne as a kid saying Liverpool are his favourite club. Yep, and there's pictures of him in a Liverpool shirt as well. So let's check in on the poll. Because we did ask you guys, would you take De Bruyne at Liverpool? Keep voting. We've already had over 2,000 votes, by the way. So we're going to leave this one running a little bit longer. But as you can see, well, maybe you can't. So far, it's very much in the yes camp. People are saying they would absolutely have Kevin De Bruyne at Liverpool. Eddie said, but we all know FSG don't like spending money. Well, this could be a free transfer. Well, you would have a signing on bonus as well. But look, I've no idea whether to believe this De Bruyne stuff or not. I've no idea how serious it is or not. But I do know I find it fascinating. And I do know it's something that certainly made me sit up and take notice. I'm trying to gather my thoughts here, but like, one part of me wants to banter Arsenal for half an hour. Another part of me wants to excitedly talk about De Bruyne. Then the sensible part of me wants to talk about whether Julian Alvarez is possible or not. Somebody guide me in the right direction, please, because I feel like I'm a rambling mess here. Just the jersey sale alone can cover KDB on a free. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. If we sign Kevin De Bruyne, I'm probably buying a signed Kevin De Bruyne shirt for my own collection. I don't know about other people, but that would be one of those, yeah, just surreal moments. I mean, I kind of had one of those moments years ago when we signed Fernando Morientes, because I was a huge fan of his, even though he was a Madrid player. And then we signed him and I was over the moon about it. But yeah, I love that Gary McAllister shout, by the way, that somebody mentioned earlier on. Imagine De Bruyne mentoring Jones. Like, there could be a world where Bajcetic comes back in, we sell Elliot, we give Bajcetic a year or two to see how he develops, along with Trey. Oh, lads, I've talked myself into this now. Hang on, I've talked myself into this De Bruyne thing. Let me pitch this to you for a second. So, we know we've got Trey Morris-Leone, a really good young talent, who probably needs a year or two to develop. We know we've got Rio Nyamoha, who's pushing on the first team. So, what if the plan would be, bring De Bruyne in for a year or two, allow Trey to go out on loan, get experience, see where Bajcecic's best position is going to be, and in the meantime, you have Kevin De Bruyne there to fill that void while you've sold maybe Harvey Elliott. You're waiting to see what Leone does. You're waiting to see if any other youngsters are stepping up, and this buys the club a couple of years with a proven Premier League player who, yes, won't have a long-term future, but also won't be blocking the long-term futures of promising youngsters. So I've now just fully talked myself into this. Eddie said, could you imagine Kevin, Mo and Virgil all in the same team? I don't want to tell you what that's potentially doing to me, Eddie. It would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Like, imagine that. And then Alisson as well. Imagine that spine of the team. Alisson, Van Dijk, De Bruyne, Salah, and then everything else around it. Ooh. Rusba said, no chance the club would pay De Bruyne's salary demands. Well, we don't know what the salary demands are. You know, no chance Liverpool will pay what he's on at Manchester City. I'll give you that one. But I don't know what he'd be asking for these days. In all honesty, I haven't. Like, if there was talk of him making a move to the MLS, as an example, surely we could match whatever package an MLS club would be able to put together. I think, if my memory's right, Inter Miami have the whatever the rights are, or first refusal rights for the MLS for De Bruyne. I don't remember what exactly they're called. Leach said, if KDB De Bruyne is true, I'll take him for 1 to 2 years. I think everybody would take him for 1 to 2 years. I love the Gary McAllister show from earlier on. That is one that I can't let go. What I don't want to do here, though, is all of us to get really excited and then Manchester City to come out and shithouse and give De Bruyne a new deal. So I hope there's no way back there. So we've now had 3,300 votes in the poll, and we asked, would you take Kevin De Bruyne at Liverpool Football Club? 70% have said yes, they would take Kevin De Bruyne. 30% said no. I would have to imagine some of those 30%, maybe there's a small section of opposition fans in there as well, but either way, let's say 7 out of 10 Liverpool fans would take him. I think I would take the chance for a year or two, because it's in an area of the pitch where I don't think would cost us in the long run. So centre forward needs to be sorted badly. Left back needs to be sorted badly. Right back will need to be sorted. But I do think we have a bit of wiggle room for one of these mad type signings like that in midfield. I genuinely would be intrigued. I really, really would. This would be like us signing Thiago Alcantara on steroids, in my mind. And then, just as I say that, Joseph Purvis puts into the chat and said, "Hey Craig, could Kevin De Bruyne be a Thiago type signing? I think of it that way. I'd have him." Yeah, it would just be mad and so interesting if that was the case.